Hey guys, it's Joanna from Nesting Story, and today I'm here with my friend Tina, mom boss of 3. And if you're new to my channel, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself, and then Tina can tell you about herself, just so you understand where we're coming from for this video. I am a mom of 4. My kids, I have a son who's almost 9, a daughter who's 7, and twin girls who are almost 4. And you have kids. You have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids. So my name's Tina. I'm the mom of 3 boys. My oldest is 6, my middle one is 4, and my youngest is 2.5.
Okay, so we both have kids who are younger, but this show really impacted us. And before we get started, I wanted to first say that we've added some links below for some crisis hotlines. And if you are struggling, if any of what we're talking about or anything in the show 13 Reasons Why has brought up any feelings for you, please reach out to someone, please talk to someone. If you don't have anyone you know in person to talk to, please reach out to some of these that we've added below. So we're gonna be discussing the show 13 Reasons Why, both season 1 and season 2. And as much as I don't want to spoil it, I think there may be some spoilers here and there because there's some specific topics we wanted to talk about. So if you haven't seen it, maybe save this video to another day once you've watched it. And I also want to say, and I want to strongly express this, that this show is not for everybody. It may be a trigger for you. It discusses suicide, bullying, sexual assault, and a myriad of other issues, as well as a lot of mental health issues. So this may be a trigger for you, and this may not be for you. In fact, I have a hard time with the idea that anyone who is younger actually watched, especially season 1. Although I've really resonated with the show and watched it more than once, actually. Season 1 for me, I kind of wish that no young people were watching the show, but that's not reality. So please take extreme caution, and if you're gonna watch the show and you're younger, please maybe watch it with an adult so you can pause it and discuss it. I think that would be the best strategy.
Yeah. There are a lot of parents who do want to, you know, from the comments on my video, there's a lot of people who do want to watch this show with their kids, and they think it's important because it's touching on topics that are important.
Yeah.
But yeah, the conversation with the adult, that connection, that discussion, I think is really important.
And I should mention, Tina just did a video about this, and the way we got going on the idea of doing this video together is I had been watching, and I had begun to 13 Reasons Why season 2, and I had asked quite a few of my mom friends if they had seen it, and almost all of them, actually I think all of them I spoke to, said no, I can't watch that. And then I saw you talking on your Instagram that you were going to make a video, and I thought, oh, we've got to discuss this because I've been dying to talk to another mom about the show. Your video was amazing. I've linked Tina's video below. She discussed the show in general. She doesn't have any spoilers.
No spoilers.
All of everything you said, I was just nodding my head in complete agreement, and I just wanted to continue the conversation on my channel. So make sure you go check that out. First of all, when you watched it, I want to start from the very beginning. When you watched season 1 of 13 Reasons Why, what was your motive to begin watching this show? Was there something, and as you watched the first season of 13 Reasons Why, what were your feelings?
So I'm gonna say that I didn't know anything about this show until I got a letter from my kid's school board warning us about watching the show.
Yes, I got those letters too. So, I just got the recent one.
Yeah, so for every season they've sent one out saying your kids might want to watch this. We're strongly advising against it. Here are our reasons. So I didn't know anything about it, but I heard that the show had done really well. And we had to find something to watch on Netflix one day. My husband said, how about we try this? And I thought, okay, great, let me check it out. What is this all about? Why are people so up in arms about it? So my thoughts just in starting the show is that I was kind of scared to even start it because I do get emotionally involved in television, and I feel like it affects me, and I have to watch like something comedic or lighthearted after I watch an episode. So my initial thoughts about the show are more that it's so real life. And I know that sounds crazy because it's a show, but it was so reflective of what I believe happens in high school, not only in my time, but still. Like, I'm 35, I haven't been in high school for years.
We're both 35. I think that's important to state our age.
Yeah.
And we didn't go to high school when everyone had smartphones.
Yes.
There was, I think YouTube had just begun at the end of our high school.
I don't even think so. I feel like it started when I was in university.
Yeah. And so we didn't have Facebook. We didn't, we had we had like Hotmail and we had ICQ.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have that, and that is a whole other layer for our kids. And that,
yeah, technology is causing a whole lot of problems for a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, as good as it is, it's also, like, you can see, like, if you've watched 13 Reasons Why, you'll see how the technology
is as a tool with bullying, and also for people to use it to bring up their social status and to bring down social status. So you were saying that when you started watching, you were scared as it unfolded. What were your general feelings of season 1 and then also season 2? What have been your thoughts about that?
So I was intrigued by the season. Like, I finished it very quickly. I was intrigued. I was engrossed in the show completely. I felt sad for the main character, and I think that a lot of the things that she was struggling with, I could see my high school self struggling with as well. And so I think the fact that this seemingly like normal person had gone through this made me feel like I said, it's just so real life, and I felt like I needed to know how this story played out so I could know how to process the information, right? Like how to move forward from it.
And I find it interesting because when I started watching it very early on. I think I saw some hype about it in the news, and it was before I got the letter from my school or anything. And I watched it. And I kept trying to convince my husband to watch it, and he would not watch it. And then I watched it again. I have actually watched it at least 3 times, which sounds crazy. But for me, there was something, now I'll get to my problems with the show, but there was something actually very healing for me that was very similar to my high school experience, and it really, I've been trying to understand why I've been so intrigued, especially, and I have very different feelings from season 1 to season 2, and I think they approach both differently. But for season 1, I felt like what I was feeling during high school and what I just pushed through and survived, and I think I would use the word survive a bit with what I kind of went through in high school, it addressed it, and it made me feel not alone, and I think that was excellent, and I think that's what my draw was to it. I think that, like you said in your video, the problem with season 1, which I feel like they fixed in season 2, is Hannah, the main character who has committed suicide. She leaves these 13 tapes for 13 people, or around 13 people, telling them the reasons why she committed suicide. It made her like a hero. And the other thing that I noticed in season 1 is that they only highlight every negative thing that happened to her. But then in season 2, and here's where the spoilers come, they actually show that there was a lot of that happened to her in between. And there actually was a lot more connection she had in life in between. And I think that they also highlight the fact that she wasn't a hero by taking her life, and that they weren't glamorizing it. And I think they also had the characters move on from this onto their own storylines too, which was really excellent. I thought that it was really good to kind of properly say goodbye to Hannah and move on. And you touched on that too. You felt like in season 1 they had that problem, and season 2 they fixed it.
Yeah, season 2 I think they fixed it. Now I don't think they fixed it all that well, but they did try. They tried to fix it, and to me it felt very clear that the producers and directors of the show sort of got the message that people were kind of upset about this, about season 1, and then that we felt like it was glamorizing or glorifying the idea of suicide. That's a better word. Yeah, the idea of suicide. And even in season 2, and as a bit of a spoiler, when they're doing her like a memorial kind of for her, like they're even writing hero on the chalkboard.
And so bothered me after the memorial is I thought they did it so well, and then everyone was writing these messages about how they were, and on this kind of on that chalkboard, that really bothered me too.
But I like the fact that Clay, who's another main character in the show, that he expressed anger to Hannah about what had happened.
And I think aside from the storyline with Hannah, they properly addressed other issues in season 2. So let's get into talking about season 2 of it, because I really wanted to react to that. I think we talked about our general feelings about season 1, but season 2 for me, actually I have to admit the first few episodes I was disconnected from the show. Did you find it hard?
Same. When my husband and I watched it, we were like, okay, I feel like they just made this season to make it, because the first one did well. I didn't know there was going to be a next season.
I knew there was going to be a next season. I had read about that, and I thought that they had completely lost their way with the first 3 episodes. I did not see where they were taking the show. I actually almost gave up. I was on my phone a lot during the first 3 episodes because I turned to my husband, who at this point had caught up with season 1. He finally did watch it, which he does not agree. He doesn't think that they made Hannah a hero. He doesn't think which was interesting from a man's point of view. I wonder what your husband would think about that. But It was a very different opinion. But he was watching season 2 with me, and I kept saying, I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this. I just feel like they didn't address all of these things that were developing near the end of season 1, and then they just jumped ahead in season 2, and there was no continuation. But then, so if you were watching it, or if you've watched it, I hope you've watched it because we're going to be spoiling it, is they tie it all together. Yeah. And they bring it all together, and what I really, really thought they did very well in season 2 was the sexual assault and the rape. And when the scene where Jessica's in court and she's telling her story, and then all of a sudden they have all these different people telling their stories, kind of like the Me Too movement, I started sobbing. Yeah, because it was hard to watch. It's hard to watch, but I think for me it was really validating because like I have had situations in my life where I've been sexually assaulted, and for me, I was just like I think everyone has been in some kind of position where I don't think I've spoken to one woman who's never been through something where they've been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted or worse, and that just really brought to light how common it is and how we must take action.
Right, and I like that. I like that they had multiple generations of people, the parents, everyone sort of speaking out,
telling these
like
stories.
just a brief, like little tidbit of what happened to them.
Small part. There's some small parts of season 2 that I just felt like they really took it home.
Yeah, so I like that in season 2, but I am gonna say that I feel like the lack of consequence. Sorry, spoiler. The lack of consequence for people responsible for these horrific acts kind of went unpunished, and I know that's kind of reflective of real life society, unfortunately. I couldn't stand it.
I know, and I can't stand it either, and I think that they were going on to, they're trying to make a season 3, but what makes me a little terrified about that is victims who throughout the show may have been given the courage to speak up, then seeing that outcome, maybe think, why bother?
What's the point?
Yeah. And I think that's again, it's hard, I think, for the creators. And I've been watching some interviews, and I watched this one interview where the cast members actually don't know the whole, during season 2, they were just given bit by bit about what was about to happen with their character. They did not know from the get-go where their characters were all going. So they are all trying to guess the whole season, which I found interesting. But you think, on one hand, they're trying to do social good, but on the other hand, this is a business and they're trying to make a show, and sometimes they miss the point.
Yeah, it's hard. I feel like just, like I said, the lack of consequence. Like, think about it. This is real life, and like I said, this show hits so much real life that it's hard to take, right? This is what it is. There's so many people in the media who have like raped people, sexually assaulted people, like all these things, and they're social elite, and they walk away with nothing. It happens every day.
Yeah, and we should talk about the social elite, and I think you really nailed that with your video, is you were discussing the fact that this is a real thing in schools and in real life. I think we even feel this as grown women with in our industry and everything. There is a social elite, and for sure there's a divide, and there's different treatment for different people, and it's real. When I was in high school, it's real. So I wanted to talk about, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to talk to you today was because I feel like the show has changed how I've parented, and we've discussed this a bit off camera, but I think we both agree. One of the biggest ways that it's changed how I parent is I am paying more attention to the quiet moments with my kids. So the old saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I have one son and 3 daughters. And our girls are just louder and more vocal, and so we were giving them attention. Our son would quietly just go off and watch his iPad, or just quietly be alone, or tell me about something during the day, and I would kind of like acknowledge it but then move on. And I flipped the script, and many times lately my son's come home and he's found this grade a little difficult, and he's ready for summer. And he'll talk to me a bit, and then he'll say, I just want to be alone. And I say, no, you're not alone. And the other day I sat with him for over an hour on our deck, just sitting, just chatting, just being quiet with him. And I could see it just, and I just want to pay more attention to those quiet moments, because he's the easy kid, but I don't want him to feel lost in the shuffle. And and you said it's changed you?
Yeah, it's changed me for sure. So I feel like some of the things that I've noticed the mother of the main character, so Hannah's mother in the show, some of the things that she's done in the show, or she's brushed off or sarcastically responded to, are things that I would totally do. That is my personality. I would do that. Yeah. And a bit of a spoiler, but there was one situation where there's a bit of a flashback, and the mom's thinking about something Hannah said to her about a camera and a flash, and her feeling like someone took a picture of her, and her mom saying, oh, well, you're just this famous celebrity, everyone's taking pictures of you. That's something I would joke about and brush off, but really it was a real thing, and it was like a cue or a sign that she ignored or brushed off. Yeah. And it was really important. So I feel like just getting back to experiencing things from my kids' point of view, because I think as we become adults, we lose sight of that because we're getting older. Yeah. And you know, when my kids are in high school, same thing. I want my kids to be able to talk to me, but if I kind of say to them, much like my parents did, oh, you guys are kids, what kind of problems do you have? Your problems are not real. Yeah. Then they won't talk to me.
As a teen, I promised myself I would never forget when I have kids what it's like to be a teen. I remember those tough days, even in elementary school, and then as a teenager, thinking to myself, my parents forget. They forget, and I had great parents, and you have great parents, great upbringing, but I did feel like sometimes they would forget, and I promised myself that, and then I think I kind of forgot, and this show made me remember. It brought me right back to high school. Yeah. It really put me in intense situations that I know I experienced, and I was in many different ways, and that has just made me remember for my kids. So when they come home from school, even though they're younger, they're in elementary school, I remember coming home sometimes just sobbing to my mom in elementary school, and I'm remembering now, and I think we're both saying that we're paying more attention, we're validating what they are saying at the quiet moments, and we're being more aware. I think slowing life down and just being present and really just being there. And one of the things that really was hard for me to watch in the second season is Tyler, who ends up in a really heated situation at the end. He had good parents in the show. His mom would sit down and talk with him. She showed concern. She thought she was doing what she needed to do, and she didn't know enough to help more. And that scares me, because I feel like his mom did nothing wrong. She did, like, what do you feel? Like,
I feel like Tyler, and you know, you bring up a really good point. I didn't think about Tyler's parents. So I thought Tyler had good parents, and so did Alex's parents. Yeah. He had really good parents. I didn't see much of his mom, but his dad was really involved, you know, really tried to be there for him. Like, you know, even after he had suffered this traumatic thing in the second season, they did nothing wrong. I'm with you on this. They did nothing wrong. They tried to get him help. Like, Tyler, they tried to get him help. He got the help he needed, and it seemed like when he first showed up in season 2, I was worried. Yeah. I was like, okay, this kid is back. Something's gonna go wrong. And then it seemed like he was doing good. Yeah. And he just didn't have that one friend. He needed that one connection to keep him grounded. He didn't have it. And his parents, I think they did a great job with him.
Yeah, I know. And that scares me. And I just think, I don't know how to solve that. I don't know as a parent, like, that scares me as a mom, because I don't know what else I could do in that kind of situation with my kids. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm just trying to sit with my kids. And I think the one thing that I maybe have said to myself, and this is with raising a son, is that their conversations were kind of quick. He and his mom, and I think I'm really making the effort to just sit with him, be with him. And actually, another thing that we're also doing, my husband and I together, after watching this show, is making sure that we're trying out different friends with play dates and having really good, like, trying to create those friendships. I think something that's different from when we grew up is we grew up in a day and age where we were biking around the neighborhood till after dark, and no one had cell phones, and there was a lot of freedom and a lot of friendships. Now everyone is overbooked with after school activities. And they go home and they play video games and they're on their devices. And so we are making a conscious effort to have much more, really try to foster some kind of friendships with all of our kids. But I think I just keep referring to my son because he's the oldest, and he's really starting to get into the new problems that I haven't navigated as a mom. Yes.
It's almost a preteen.
Yes,
right?
9. Yeah, it's a big deal. So that's kind of what I'm doing on that front. One thing I feel that the show did very well was the conclusion of season 2. What did you think? Okay, so I'm gonna really spoil this here. Basically, Tyler shows up having planned a school shooting. I know what you're gonna say. There's a yes and a no to this. And he's ready to go in and take it out on everybody. And Clay stops everyone, tells them to not call the police, and he talks him down. I don't think that Clay should have done that. I don't think so. I think that I was like that, you know, it should have been dealt with properly, and that's not his job. He's now stepping into this hero position in the show, and that's not appropriate either. Right. I do like what the conversation had involved, and I like what he said about, you know, don't throw your life away, and this is going to be something that's going to be talked about by parents for a week and then be done, and you know, you're not going to accomplish anything by this. So what did you think? He hit
the nail on the head with that, though.
Yes.
Because now I feel like we've experienced so many school shootings. It's a conversation for a week. The first one, conversation for longer. After that, it's a conversation for a few days, and that's it. And everyone moves on. And I like the way he talked him down, but his idea of don't call the police because his life will be over, I thought that was a very mature way to think for him. Like for a high school student to say his life's going to be over, he's never going to be the same, he's going to be taking it in, and that's it. I don't think that my immediate response would be that. My immediate response would be call the police.
Like lock down the school.
Yeah, that would be my response.
Call the police. Yeah, and I think that they have this character Clay as, and you put it perfectly, he's very mature. He's mature. He's mature beyond his years. He's angry. I think that he is he's on a mission to fix things, but I think in a lot of ways he's the show's voice of reason. And in other ways I think it can be a little bit dangerous because he is supposed to be, how old, 17 or so in the show?
18, yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of weight on someone's shoulders, and I don't want anyone to think that they need to be the person
that hero
fixing everybody, because that's not anyone's job. Actually, when my kids get in a fight, or one of my older kids try to help with a younger kid, and I tell them, be a kid, it's not your job, you shouldn't be worrying about fixing anything. And I think that there's just so much. It's such a responsibility with this show.
I have that problem.
Do you?
I have to fix things all the time. I have to fix things all the time.
I know.
I have that problem. I'm just, like if someone's, so if someone is upset with me, I can't stand it. I have to go talk to them. I gotta fix it. I can't I can't just leave it alone. Like if I'm mad, even I don't stay mad. Like I get mad for like 10 minutes and I move on, because well, I mean, I don't think there's any value in staying negative for a long period of time. Like, it's good if you can just move on. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of weight trying to be the caretaker for everyone. And I think you're totally right about that. Trying to set that example for high school kids. Like, that's too much for them. They should be kids. Who has not been in a situation where they've tried to talk to a friend or someone came to them for help and they couldn't fully finish that conversation, or couldn't help them as much as they wanted to, and then realize later, and look at the outcome for this poor counselor, right? Like, we've all been there.
I know. And I know I completely felt for that character. It was heartbreaking for me.
I cried for him. Like, when he was in, I cried,
I know. I had a few emotional moments. We could talk for a long time. And let us know if you want us to do any future videos on any of these topics or anything else as moms, or just, you know, any of the topics we touched on today. We'd be happy to do that. And I think, is there any kind of like last words you want to leave everyone with what you took away or about this? For me, I guess it would be just to kind of, as for the moms, pay attention to the quiet moments, and just you know, spend more time just talking, just talk, and it doesn't have to be like, tell me more. Like, I just sat with Holden and had the most random conversations last night for a long time at bedtime, and I let it take twists and turns and let him lead, and I think that's really important. I think what I got from the show, similar to what you're saying, is to pay attention, more attention to kids, and remember what it's like to be them. Like you said, I feel like I forgot a lot of that, and I did notice things that I would do, like I said in the show. So for me, it was very eye-opening in that way. And like you, I have sometimes kids that are very quiet, and sometimes where they're wild, and just to pay more attention to those quiet moments. And I feel like, I'm sure you do, I feel like I'm working all the time, and I want to take a step back because I am working for my kids. And so to be here for them in this moment is the most important thing. So I'm trying to take a step back to be
present.
Slow down.
I want to be present.
Be present.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually have to like really do that consciously. And I think the way you and I are wired is we're like, we gotta cook, we gotta clean, we gotta work. Like we're to-do list people.
Yes.
And I think to just slow down and pay attention to everything in between, it's a conscious effort for us. So again, we've added links below for crisis hotlines and to reach out to anybody who, if you are struggling, please go and reach out to any of those contacts below. And talk to people. Please reach out, talk to people, and your story is your story and it is valid.
And sharing that story with the world and sharing that story with people around you who care about you, because there are people that care about you and you are worth it and you are important.
Yes.
And so reach out for help.
Exactly. We'd also love for you to share your thoughts on the show. Was there anything for you that really resonated? Are you a parent? Was there any way that it's changed your parenting style? Please leave your comments below. If you would like to subscribe, I think you should really subscribe to Tina's channel. Go watch her video if you haven't yet. It's awesome. I've added that below as well. If you haven't subscribed here, I'd love for you to subscribe. And again, let us know in the comments below if there's anything you would want us to expand on with this topic or anything else. Thank you so much for watching with us, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye.